Hey, welcome to the process. My name is Dr. John Bush. This is Snap Report weeks 5 to 10. I'm not looking early in the season. You can go back and look at that. And we're going to look at efficiency analysis, and we're going to look at players that have recently increased in snaps. See if we can catch some players on the rise or coming back. So let's just get started. Introduction. Chasing the volume. What can I say? You can read that. And I then like to look at efficiency, and I like to focus on team level points scored per second, yards per game, and a ratio, which I'm calling efficiency, of the yardage versus points per second. That's not fantasy points, that's points on the scoreboard here. I found, but haven't confirmed by research, that knowing that efficiency gives me a little bit of advantage in lineups, etc. So you can look at that. So you want to get better players from top teams and be extra concerned about players from the lower efficiency teams. So efficiency changes actually. And the first is the changes. I document the last 3 weeks, 3 games. Okay, 3 games because of bye weeks. Last 3 games compared to the complete season. So the last 3 again. So the top teams that have been improving the last 3 games: Philadelphia, New England, Detroit, Arizona, Dallas, Chargers, Miami, and the Rams. Teams that have declined in efficiency: Atlanta, Tennessee, the Jets, the Giants, Green Bay, Kansas City. Folks, just be aware. There that is. Raiders and Pittsburgh. So I wonder about that Kansas City. Anyway, there it is. You can look at the data and see who's really doing quite well. And just look at the whole season, not the last 3 weeks. I guess the highest is Carolina. They have been putting more points on the board than their yardage they're producing. So they're doing a lot with a little, is basically what we're saying. Seattle's been doing the same thing. So Geno Smith is leading that. Dallas is starting to come on and doing a lot with a little. And of course, the opposite are teams like Denver that's doing a little with a little, right? Pittsburgh and Green Bay for sure have had issues. That's in yellow here. Indianapolis has struggled as well. So you can check that out. And then here's the top dogs in the last 3 weeks, or 3 games of efficiency. If I slip weeks, it's games. And Philadelphia is coming on, as well as Dallas. So they're fighting against each other in the East, aren't they? Look at that. Both of them are improving here. And there may be some other surprises. Detroit surprised, folks. Surprised me. They did really good being away, not at home. So, and New England did well. And so that's kind of interesting. I think New England is playing the Jets. And what's interesting, just something I noticed, New England is really doing well at home, and the Jets are doing pretty good on away games. So that might be a tougher game than what people are thinking, because it's like you're playing in to the efficiency of both teams there. That doesn't happen a lot at all. Detroit is playing an away game, and the reason, and here I just plotted the efficiency, and look at Philadelphia. That's a giraffe, right? It's above the whole crowd here. It's amazing. Home and away efficiency metrics, and I compare that home versus away. So we see who skewed. Detroit, that number's actually gone down from last week, but it's still very skewed to the home. So I continue to be worried about Detroit being less efficient than they should in away situations. Indianapolis, Pittsburgh, Tampa Bay, Buffalo. And Buffalo, folks, I think the game's moving the snow game is moving. Buffalo and Cleveland are going to play in Detroit because Detroit's on the road. So Buffalo is usually really good at home, and it's going to be interesting. They're losing that skewed home advantage a little bit versus away, which is not so strong. So let's look at Cleveland here. How does Cleveland do? 31-44 and Buffalo 31-15. So if you look at away percentages, Cleveland does just a tad better in away situations versus Buffalo. That doesn't mean Cleveland's going to upset them, but that might make me play some deeper flexes from Cleveland more than I was going to. And that may, if Isaiah McKenzie, for instance, I was toying with the idea of maybe playing him. Maybe I should think a little deeper. Okay, this kind of information is for you to tweak things. It's not for you to go all in on any one type of data. So people can get confused that one type of data is or one stream of data is the key. There's no keys. If there were keys, Vegas wouldn't exist. So there are trends and tendencies, and this is leaning this way, this is leaning that way, etc. And when I talk about my Sunday game analysis, you'll see I use a lot of different metrics to kind of weigh in on the game. So it is not simple at all. So you do have an advantage over your league mates that are not putting in the thinking a little bit. So the fact that you're listening to me says you're trying to better yourself and think. So part of your diary should be, does this information help you? And if it does, then you'll know to keep using it. And if it doesn't, then maybe you should use it, or maybe you should try to get more deeper into it, maybe. I don't know. This is what I use. This is my process. You're getting to see it. Okay, anything else? So I don't know who Indianapolis is playing. Pittsburgh, Tampa. I think Tampa's on bye. But I need to look at that a little careful. Is Houston at home? I don't know. Anyway, I know New England is, but we talked about New England. Dallas, I don't know if Dallas is at home, but they are really strong, at home. So this helps tweak some things here. So take a look at this. I think it's really interesting. And here's the plotted ratio of home versus away efficiency. Anything above 1 is better at home. Anything below is better away. And I mark the extremes. So I wouldn't really worry about the teams I haven't marked in either blue, home, or orange away. So just that seems to be pretty extreme. Okay. Next piece of information is positional usage measured by snaps. And I'll just go to the data. I have two data figures for each group of 4 teams. Not looking at the player level, we're going down, the top-down approach here. We've got the team, the position, the player averages of the position, the percent usage by the snap averages, weeks 5 through 10, the snap averages over the 6 weeks, and the differences in the last 3 games versus the preceding 3 games. So if you look at Arizona, they have improved a little bit in running backs, but they've declined in certainly tight end, and now Zach Ertz is gone, so I'm sure that decline continues. I know people are talking about trading McBride. I'm going to wait and see what that means. And the wide receivers have declined somewhat. And you can look at each team, and then this might be a better way to get a snapshot here. I plot the average player score. So what the players, the positions are scoring in the red box versus how they're used by the teams. And right away, look at Arizona. Arizona is scoring highest with their running backs. I don't know if you knew that. I understand we're not talking D-Hop and whatnot. Okay, we're looking at all running backs, all tight ends, all wide receivers. To get a flavor, especially in deeper flex situations, this is the kind of information I like to think about. So if you look at the position of the triangle, which is usage versus scoring, the distance between the scoring bar and the triangle is pretty much measuring the inefficiency, right? Look how bad the tight end, even with Zach Ertz. Okay, and boy, the running backs are doing more with less. That's very intriguing. So Connor, people talking about Connor, but damn, that's nice. Atlanta has the same issue, except they're a little more efficient in the wide receivers here. Baltimore, look at Mark Andrews. Do they need Mark Andrews back? Look at that. And look at their wide receivers, the worst scoring. But the running backs are not that much higher than the wide receivers. So you see, you get a flavor. Look at Buffalo. Buffalo is overachieving in 2 positions, not Knox, the tight end, but look at this. Very intrigued. Atlanta's kind of doing that, but not like Buffalo. So I think you can look across the league and find teams like Buffalo. In fact, let's do it. You can read the rest of this. Are there any other teams that are close to that? Kansas City is overdoing it in running back and tight end. So that's very intriguing. So we got Buffalo and we got KC. And we got Miami. Surprise Miami. And the Rams. How about that? I don't know with Cooper Kupp out, but so people have been talking about the Rams, but they've been really overshooting things in the last 6 weeks there. So not too bad. Look at the Giants have been really doing well there. And look at New Orleans. They're scoring much better than their usages would suggest. So that, again, is very intriguing here how you look at this. And certainly find the inefficiencies here. Look at Philadelphia. Everybody talking about Philadelphia, but boy, look at that. Look at tight end scoring in the Jets. Man, Conklin, they need him back bad to make some money there for them. Anyway, you can take a look at all this data here and see what you want to come up with. I think it just gives you some information to lean on and to think about a deeper thinking. So I urge you
to do that. I think it gives you interested insight into teams a little bit. Like, I don't, this, I guess you'll be listening to this Friday, but here's Tennessee. They don't do well in wide receivers and they're tight end. Look like it's all about Henry. So they're a one-dimensional team. Let's see Green Bay. How have they been doing recently? Green Bay's been at home, and they're just kind of a little bit inefficient. And look at the wide receivers. That they're kind of to the running, but they've still kept themselves in. So efficiency-wise, they're much more efficient than Tennessee, which is very intriguing there as well. Okay, so you can take a look at that. Then finally, I get to players, so you can look in the teams here. So I have Arizona, the position, the player snaps, the scoring level of the player, the snap counts, and what's going on. Look at Connor really hit week 10. That made, I don't know if he can keep that up, but he did really well last week and scoring. They got rid of Benjamin, so I guess the rookie with 5, is he going to, at one point he was at 20, so I don't know what they're going to do here. I don't know. But I know Connor at 65 snaps is pretty amazing. Ertz is gone. You can see he got hurt there. Brent Bryant took over, so 60 snaps. So he's going to get the snaps. I just don't know, can he score? Look at the scoring before. 1. That sucks. Marquise Brown, I think, has a chance to play. If he does, folks, he's number 2 in scoring. I know everybody talking about Rondale Moore. Just be aware that when they were together, and I don't know when they were, but Brown and Rondale Moore would flip back and forth on the weeks 5 and 6 there. So very intriguing what's going to happen here to that here. They tried to get Robbie Anderson, and they gave him a shot, but he big dud last week. So I don't know if they're happy about that. AJ Green came back at 30. So anyway, take a look at that and see what you think. Okay, so I'm going to scroll all the way down in the report. And again, this is the scienceoffantasyfootball.com. You can see the whole report, but you can't hear me talk about it. So here are the players who've had some recent upticks here, and I look at differences, and I sorted, and some of these here, +5 or 6 or 7, I don't know if that's very significant, but you can look, see what you think here. Here's Pachenko, and everybody's talking about him, and that's why, because he's seen an uptick the last week there, so you wonder, is he going back to 22, or is 35 the new normal? Drake's been doing good. Look at that, 44, 46. Pollard really took off, but now Elliott may play, I think, so he may not deliver. McCaffrey's about at 40. Okay. I think Harris may be coming back. Maybe. Foreman is really picked up as well. So you can take a look. See, here's the tight ends, who's been picking stuff up lately, who hasn't, start maybe picking some drop ads and these kind of things. See if you can catch some of these players here. I know Dulcich didn't do well last week scoring, but 71. Take a look at the last 6 weeks. Nobody in this group, tight ends, have done except for Kelsey at 83. So that's not bad. Wide receivers. St. Brown really has been picking it up the last 3 weeks there. Vandy's been doing pretty good. Of course, Williams and Allen were out, so Marshall has been picking it up. Hinton Watson for KC has been getting a little play. So take a look. Gallup really stepped up last week. I don't know what that means, but there it is. So you can take a look, see what you think, see if things are helping your team or not. But anyway, I outlined the increases here in the last 3 weeks. I don't think you can just use last week and try to chase all that. I like to at least look at the last 3 weeks and compare it to the preceding just to get a feel for who's increasing and who's declining. Okay, so that's a short version of my snaps. I got lots of data you need to study. Not a lot of people hit this, but the ones that do, thank you very much for listening. Hope it helps. If it doesn't help, don't listen to it. Just showing you my process. I like to use this data to make me think about things. Okay, good luck this weekend here in this week. Let's crush this and get you into the playoffs.